It's only a 5-hour drive north. Put on your pants, pack your things, and hurry before your father wakes up," Mom said as she got out of the car, her dress rustling quietly. Turning around, she winked at me as I walked to the car. The morning mist rising from the ocean in cold streams enveloped me, its coolness seeping through my clothes and filling the air with the faint scent of salt water. It blurred the landscape around me, creating a surreal, dreamlike shroud that seemed to hide the world in soft gray tones. I tossed my suitcases into the backseat of the small red sedan. "Ready, Mr. Muscle?" my mom asked as we pulled away. Despite the heat, the sun was just beginning to rise above the horizon. The villa disappeared from view as soon as we turned onto the village's main street, its cobbled lanes with brightly colored market stalls and cheerful vendors left behind. The road ahead was transformed. Lush greenery loomed over us on all sides, the dense jungle alive with the rustling of leaves and the distant calls of invisible creatures. It seemed as if we had entered another world where civilization was only a distant memory. Along the way we came across small towns and tourist spots with thatched huts standing over mirrored lagoons and lakes. At one point, my mom's phone rang. She ignored the ringing and waited for it to subside. "Did we at least leave a note?" I asked. "I didn't need to explain myself to your father," Mom said. "He was unbearable. I only felt happy when it was just the two of us, so why would I tell him where we were going?" I shrugged, mulling over her words. "But wouldn't he have been worried?" Mom laughed. "I guess when he's had a few drinks, he won't care." The highway stretched farther and farther into the jungle. At a small gas station, we made a stop. Mom bought herself some coffee and chocolate and handed me a hot tortilla for breakfast. As we started the car again, the phone rang again. Mom rolled her eyes and shoved it into the glove compartment without looking. The drive continued, and we talked about the future, the kind of job I wanted to get, the places I dreamed of visiting, the house I would someday build with a wide porch overlooking a garden full of blooming flowers. Mom asked what career would make me happy, and I said I wanted to create something meaningful, something that would make a difference in the world. She listened intently, nodding every now and then to get me to open up more. We envisioned a life I could live, filled with laughter, love, and the satisfaction of pursuing my passions. My mom encouraged me to do more, but the more I fantasized about staying home and seeing my mom every day, the more she insisted otherwise. "Don't let anything hold you back, dear. Live the life you want to live. Find yourself a nice girl," Mom said firmly, never taking her eyes off the road. "You're a man now, aren't you?" I nodded, trying not to show any sadness, as she told me about the life I had never been able to understand from my father's stories. "You'll marry a good girl and make her happy." There was something strained, almost anxious, in her voice. I looked up at her. Her eyes were hidden by dark sunglasses, and her gaze was fixed on the road. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what I could say. "By the way, once we get to the next stop, you drive." "Whatever you say, Mom," I replied, and there was no joke in that. If only I could slow time down to stretch this moment and allow myself this vacation forever. Mom was now humming a tune from the music selection softly. Behind her glasses, she looked calm, peaceful. We stopped at a roadside restaurant and grabbed a bite to eat. This time I had coffee too, feeling pleasantly satiated. When we got back to the car, my mom handed me the keys. I started the engine and listened to its soft rumble with pleasure. We drove through the small town of Tulum, slowing down as the tourist cafes flashed by, but soon we picked up speed again and drove deep into the jungle. "You know," Mom put her hand on my knee, "this is a lot of fun. I haven't had this much fun in a long time. Honestly, maybe never, and we're not going to stop." She pressed her lips together, as if trying to say as much as she could. "Okay, but you have to realize this is nonsense. I'm still your mother, and what we're doing is crazy." We reached the center of town. The pearlescent facades of old buildings were juxtaposed with tall hotels, and the streets were filled with sunburned tourists who seemed to have more beer boxes than phones. "Where are we staying?" I asked. Mom took her mind off her thoughts and pointed to the right, to a road sign that read Isla Mujeres. "Just follow the sign. It'll be a surprise." I shrugged and turned right, following her directions. Gradually, the hotels began to disappear. Green paths stretched on both sides of the road, and a wide park with palm trees and sparkling pools spread out to the left. We drove further and further east until we came to a huge cream and orange-colored apartment complex. "Wow," I marveled, looking up at the sleek, minimalist modern buildings rising on expansive lawns, blending in with the ocean, with colorful canopies on the sandy strip and dozens of pools scattered between the resort buildings. "This is it," Mom said, grinning as we pulled up to the entrance lined with cool white stones. We parked and got out of the car. Our legs were tense after a long day. It was arousing. Mom's hips swayed seductively as she walked ahead of me. She looked back, laughing at me. "They said, we hope you make some unforgettable memories here. Just imagine."